Welcome students. We are going to discuss in this session about high performance computing. It is a subject in the B Computer Semester 1. It is having an in-sem paper of 30 marks and end-sem paper of 70 marks. So we are going to discuss the first unit, that is introduction about parallel computing. CO1 related to this particular unit is describe parallel computing hardware and programming models. Okay, so we start discussion of the first unit in high performance computing. So we are going to discuss about introduction to parallel computing. We are going to introduce what is parallel computing to you in this particular video lecture. So the first concept in that is motivating parallelism. How can we basically get motivated for parallelism? So the role of parallelism in accelerating computing speeds has been recognized for several decades. So role of parallelism in basically increasing the computing speed has been there from last few decades, okay, rather than several decades. Its role in providing multiplicity of data paths and increased access to storage elements has been significant in commercial applications. So what happens is that when you use a parallel computing platform, the data paths are more as compared to a serial computer. Okay, since there are many processors in a parallel computer having their own data paths, data links rather, and having their own paths. So the data paths are more in parallel computer, and basically more access to storage elements is provided in a parallel computer as compared to a serial computer. So that's why it has a lot of commercial applications, parallel computing platform. The scalable performance and lower cost of parallel platforms is reflected in a wide variety of applications. Scalable performance means what? You can easily increase the number of processors in the particular parallel platform, and you can scale up the platform very easily, and the application also can be scaled up on the parallel platform. And the lower cost of parallel platform is also well known basically. Okay, that's why there are wide variety of applications on parallel platforms. So the next concept in motivating parallelism is developing parallel hardware and software has traditionally been time and effort intensive. So usually traditionally means what, in the previous years, uh, the developing a parallel hardware and software has been a very time and effort intensive. More amount of effort and time used to be needed to develop a parallel platform, both hardware and software. If one is to view this in context of rapidly improving uniprocessor speeds, one is tempted to question the need of for parallel computing. So when the serial computers uniprocessor speeds was increasing as the years went, it was a question whether we should go for parallel platform or not. So in the early years, that was a question, that whether from the uniprocessor system we should go for a multiprocessor platform, parallel computing platform. There are some unmistakable trends in the hardware design which indicate that uniprocessor or implicitly parallel architectures may not be able to sustain the rate of realizable performance increments in the future. So, as the hardwares were getting designed for uniprocessor system serial computers, it basically was found that the uniprocessor or implicitly parallel architectures will not be able to sustain more and more speed requirements from them basically. So it was starting to become difficult to basically increase beyond the limit the speed of uniprocessor system. So that basically made it important that you go for parallel computing platforms. This is the result of a number of fundamental physical and computational limitations. So basically physical and computational limitations made this basically conclusion that beyond a particular limit the speed of a uniprocessor system cannot be increased. The emergence of standardized parallel programming environments, libraries and hardwares have significantly reduced time to parallel solution. So as time went, the parallel programming environments and libraries and hardwares were designed, which basically made it very easy to develop parallel solutions on parallel computing platform. So it basically reduced the time to develop a parallel computing solution. So that also was a reason that people started moving towards parallel computing platforms. Then there was a computational power argument. The Moore's law was there, which was stated in 1965. It stated that the complexity for minimum component costs has increased at a rate of roughly a factor of 2 per year. Certainly, over the short term, this rate can be expected to continue, if not to increase. Over the long term, the rate of increase is a bit more uncertain, although there is no reason to believe it will not remain nearly constant for at least 10 years. That means by 1975, the number of components per integrated circuit for minimum cost will be 65,000. So that was a argument which was stated by Moore about the basically how much a particular chip can have complexity in it. Okay, how much advanced a chip can be made. So that basically cost, he said, was increasing roughly by a factor of 2 per year. Okay, so accordingly the basically chips were getting designed which were more and more advanced, but as you can see, he also felt that beyond the limit it cannot be increased beyond the limit for a particular chip. Computational power argument further stated that Moore attributed this doubling rate to exponential behavior of die sizes, finer minimum dimensions, and circuit and device cleverness. So he felt that the dies were becoming more and more advanced basically. Okay. In 1975, he revised this law as follows. There is no room left to squeeze anything out by being clever. Going forward from here, we have to depend on two size factors, bigger dies and finer dimensions. So basically, he felt that after that period was over, now further you cannot increase the complexity in a particular chip because of the limits of the particular chip. So he felt that then we'll have to go for bigger chips and finer dimensions. So that is what he started feeling in 1975. In 1965, he said that the complexity was increasing, doubling every basically year. But later on, he felt that now it cannot be increased about particular limit. Okay. He revised his rate of circuit complexity doubling to 18 months and projected from 1975 onwards at this reduced rate. So now he didn't feel that every year we could double the capacity or the complexity. We could do it only after every 18 months. So he started finding out limitations in the uniprocessor systems. Speaking further about the computational power argument, if one is to buy into Moore's law, the question still remains, how does one translate transistors into useful operations per second, OPS? So even if there are a lot of complexities in a particular chip, but can we really use that particular complexity for execution? So whether basically operations per second can be increased when you increase the chip capacity. The logical recourse is to rely on parallelism, both implicit and explicit. So the solution for that was that you should go for parallelism, both implicit and explicit. Most serial or seemingly serial processors rely extensively on implicit parallelism. So most of the serial processors, they rely on implicit parallelism. Okay. We focus in this class for the most part on explicit parallelism. So implicit parallelism was present in serial computers, whereas the parallel computing platforms use explicit parallelism. The next was the memory disk speed argument. So while the clock rates of high-end processors have increased at roughly 40% per year over the past decade, DRAM access times have only improved at a rate of roughly 10% per year over this interval. So the processor speeds were increasing by 40% per year, but the memory speed was increasing only 10% per year. So you can easily see that the processor was becoming more and more faster, but memory was not becoming that fast as compared to processor. Memory was as compared slower than the processor. This mismatch in speeds causes significant performance bottlenecks. So this mismatch in speed was causing significant performance bottlenecks. Overall speed was reducing of that particular computer. Parallel platforms provide increased bandwidth to the memory system. So basically parallel platforms that were being designed, they provided increased bandwidth to the memory system. Since parallel platforms have more than one processor, each processor was connected to the memory. So the overall bandwidth of the parallel computer to the memory was more as compared to serial computers. Parallel platforms also provide higher aggregate caches. So every processor would have its own cache in a parallel computing platform. So the total number of caches as compared to a serial computer was more in case of parallel computing platform. That would obviously be faster than as compared to serial computer. Principles of locality of data reference and bulk access which guide parallel algorithm design also apply to memory optimization. So principles of locality of data reference and bulk access, basically that also led to memory optimization. Principle of locality means what? There is spatial locality and temporal locality. That means if a particular data has been accessed from a location, then the next access will be close to that location. So that is the concept of spatial locality, locality of data reference. And temporal locality means it is related to time. For a particular time, for the particular time, the data will be basically similar to each other. So that is related to temporal locality. Locality related to time is temporal locality, and locality related to location is spatial locality. So that also led to memory optimization. Some of the fastest growing applications of parallel computing utilize not their raw computational speed, rather their ability to pump data to memory and disk faster. So some parallel computing applications found the benefit in parallel computers by memory speed basically. The speed of the data access and retrieval was faster as compared to serial computers in a parallel computing platform. So you can easily see that not just the computing speed increased, but the memory speed was also more in parallel computing platform. So that was also an motivation for going towards parallel computing. The next was the data communication argument. So communication of data in the parallel computing was also an asset in parallel computers. As the network evolves, the vision of the internet as one large computing platform was emerged. So as network evolved, vision of internet as one large computing platform, that also was emerged as a concept for so internet connected machines can also act as parallel computers. So that was another basically way of implementing parallel platforms. So this view is exploited by applications such as SETI at the home and folding at home. So there were some applications like SETI at the rate home, which were machines connected on internet executing like a parallel platform. SETI at the rate home was a parallel computing platform based on internet, which was searching for extraterrestrials basically. So that was a basically platform what was executing on internet. And similarly there was a folding at the rate home, that was another basically platform which was based on internet. In many other applications, typically databases and data mining, the volume of data is such that they cannot be moved. So data communication speed was also an advantage in parallel computing platform. Thank you for attending today's video lecture. We'll continue in the next video lecture.